So we're back. This is episode number 5 of Unfiltered. And I want to talk about a pretty broad topic today that I feel is the main reason why most of us suffer. I've been doing this work a long time, and now looking back, I can see that it all points to the same thing, which is a lack of self-acceptance. And sometimes it can even just be a lack of acceptance when it comes to things that we like versus what we don't like, things that we want or that we're afraid to admit that we want. In other words, we're simply not accepting ourselves or the things that we would like to have in this life, or the ways in which we would like to live. So I think people will get a lot from today's episode just because my plan is to cover a multitude of topics that they can relate to. So let's just start with the idea that when you don't accept yourself, you're always going to attract things to yourself or people to yourself that show you that you're not accepting yourself. In other words, you're going to find yourself in very disempowered situations or in very disempowered friendships or relationships because you're not really showing up as your most authentic self. You're not really fully accepting who you know you are. You're still trying to amount to other people's expectations or trying to be something that you're not. Have you experienced that at all?
Absolutely. It's we talked in the last episode about how I was trying to find myself through other people. And really what it boiled down to is I wasn't accepting myself.
Yeah. I don't know if you ever saw the TV show Stranger Things.
No.
Okay, but there was the Upside Down on that TV show.
Okay.
And it was basically their life, but the darker version of their life. It was a place they would go to where they were in danger. And I think of it like that. If you're not accepting yourself, you're going to be experiencing a version of your life where you're always suffering and tormenting yourself because you're in your own version of the upside down. You know?
Yeah.
It's almost like the reason why you suffer or we suffer, because I'm still dealing on accepting certain things about myself, but the main reason why we suffer is because the universe has to have a way, a mechanism to get you to accept yourself. And so that's where pain serves a positive purpose. The pain that you go through, the suffering that you endure, that's usually showing you, it's pointing you in a certain direction of more self-acceptance. So let's just start with, let's say, waking up in the morning. And, I can't tell you how for so many years I'd wake up in the morning time and want to do a particular thing, like go on a nice leisurely walk and just enjoy myself, or maybe just watch a TV show because that's what I feel like doing, or picking up a book. And I always force myself routinely and habitually to go to the gym because I thought it's what I had to do to be loved. It's what I had to do to feel strong. And so I came to realize that there was nothing inherently wrong with the gym. What was wrong with it is that it wasn't for me, right? It wasn't.
It's okay for other people, just maybe not your authentic self.
That's perfect. Yeah, it wasn't in alignment. And I knew it wasn't in alignment because I was always rushing out of the house and then having to go get a lunch. It's so like predictable. And even when I would go on vacation, the first thing I do is scope out the hotels and see which one has a gym. So in a sense, I was imprisoned in my own lack of self-acceptance. It's like being stuck in your own prison. And I was doing that to myself, but I didn't know that. I was doing the best that I could. But just simple things like that, where you wake up in the morning and there's something you would rather be doing, but you're not allowing yourself to have that. And I think this is a big video because that is the truth. That is like, wherever you're still not accepting, for instance, what you'd rather be doing for work, there will be suffering because the universe will keep pushing you to accept what you want to be doing.
Right.
So if you're wanting to, let's say, wake up in the morning and go on a walk because that feels delicious, don't go against that. Because in going against that, you're actually staying stuck in that same old perpetual cycle of resisting what you want. And you're resisting what you want because you're not accepting that what you want is completely fine. There's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah. You are suffering when you don't accept what it is that you really do want.
Yeah. You're living up to someone else's standards. You're trying to be something that you're not. And you usually feel it because then time starts to close in on you. Oh, I didn't get to do what I really wanted to do. I was just doing what I always do, but I don't feel like I have freedom. So I feel like accepting ourselves can bring about a lot more freedom.
Are there other things that you can think of as an example where we're doing it because we feel like we have to instead of something that we want to do?
I'm thinking about relationships. Like I speak to people all the time who are holding on to someone who's emotionally unavailable and they won't let this person go. I'm sure there are people watching today that are in that same situation where they've been dating someone for a while now that has clearly shown them that they're not really interested. They lack consistency. They don't return their texts. They're hot, they're cold, they're all over the place, and they just keep toying with their feelings. And someone can hold on to that person because they are still trying to get validation. And we can only seek validation if we're not accepting ourselves. Yeah?
Right.
We're lacking confidence within ourselves. So it's like, if this person loves me, then I've made it, which is a complete falsity. That's an illusion. Because some shit is going to hit the fan later on. It's bound to, because you're still in a disempowered state. So I know there are people watching right now who are still holding on to someone who's emotionally unavailable. And my question to you is, why are you still holding on? Like, why are you torturing yourself? Why are you holding out hope for something that will never happen? And the reason why you are holding on is because you're not accepting what you truly want. You want a family. You want a partner who makes you feel good. Think of how you're feeling right now. You're confused all the time. You're tormenting yourself. And that is the universe speaking to you through your emotions. Our emotions are always notifying us what we should and what we shouldn't do, what we should move toward and what we should move away from. And so if you're dating somebody who's emotionally unavailable right now, I hate to break it to you, but you too are equally emotionally unavailable.
I was just going to ask you, by going after those emotionally unavailable people, what does that say about us?
Yeah.
I'm so glad that you said that.
Yeah. And people say to me all the time, but Phil, I really do want to be in a healthy relationship. But it's like, I hear you, but your actions are proving otherwise. By holding on to someone who's not showing interest in you, you're letting the universe know that you're not ready to receive love. In other words, you're not ready to receive what's in your heart because you don't accept yourself, because you don't think you're worthy. If you don't accept what you want, the universe will always show you that you're not accepting what you want, and then you will suffer. So suffering is a way of notifying you that you need to make a U-turn because you're going in the wrong direction.
Right. Would you say that that is the reason that, when people say, why does this keep happening to me? Why do I keep attracting the same type of person? Would you say that that is the universe trying to tell us it's not this direction?
100%. It's like that definition of insanity.
Doing the same thing and expecting a different
result. It's like, how's that working out for you?
I love that. Yeah.
So I think that we have to start really taking into account what we want. Like, if you want love, if you want to feel good in a relationship, how is this person making you feel? Because your partner is going to make you feel safe. They're going to make you feel loved and secure. They won't make you feel this way. But in a way, you're making yourself feel this way by holding on to someone who's not compatible, by holding on to someone who's not your person. So it's really important that we stop resisting what we envision for our future. The emotions have to match. So if I'm going to be in a healthy relationship in the future with a healthy family, how am I feeling now? And if I feel like crap, then I'm still not accepting that this person doesn't want me. I'm not accepting. So can you see how acceptance works in so many different ways?
Yeah.
You're not accepting that this person's not that into you. You're also not accepting that you want more. you're also not accepting that you want to be loved. So you're really not accepting yourself, which means that you're always going to push away love. If you don't think you're worthy of love, you're always going to find a way to sabotage your relationships. That's a fact.
If you want to be in a relationship with someone who's emotionally available, then act like it. Like you yourself need to act like it.
Yeah, it's like if you're dating someone who's emotionally unavailable, you are emotionally unavailable because you're not making yourself available for someone who is already there, for someone who's on your wavelength and wants the exact same thing as you. I assure you that there's someone out there right now, as you're watching this video, that wants you, but you can't see them because you're so caught up in wanting this person who doesn't want you. So I think it's really important for us to open up our hearts. It's all about opening up your heart. If you're holding on to someone who's emotionally unavailable, your heart is closed because you're trying to control it in your mind. Are you not? This person has already shown you they don't want you. So the reason why you're spiraling and you're obsessing over this person is because you're not in your heart.
We do that to ourselves so often. It does go back to either trying to control the person or the situation, trying to make it what it isn't. And if I keep working harder, we've talked about this. If I work hard enough, I can get them to see me. I can get them to see that I'm the right person for them.
Yes. It's about committing to ourselves. If you want love, you have to commit to being a healthy person. You have to commit to the love that you seek. But if you're trying to commit to somebody who's non-committal, then they won't commit to you because you're still not committal to yourself. I also want to emphasize that this person that you're seeing who's inconsistent and unavailable emotionally, they'll never respect you if you keep waiting around because you're in a disempowered state. So when you're in a disempowered state, you attract more situations, more relationships that show you that you're in a disempowered state and that it's time to reclaim your power and own what you want. I want people to stop making it so wrong that they have desires. Like you have those desires because that's what's in alignment with your life.
Yeah. What is so wrong about wanting what you want?
Yeah.
Why do we make that bad? And then, right, we are settling when this person fits this thing that I want or this thing that I want, but here are areas where they don't. We second guess ourselves. Maybe I don't really want that. And we are settling.
Yeah. So relationships is a great example. This one's going to sting a little bit, but for instance, you wake up, you go to work, and you would rather be doing something else, but then you haul your ass to work anyway. You're not accepting the thing that keeps calling to you. So why would your situation ever change?
Right. And going along the lines of the work is like, what's that work environment like? Is it toxic?
Yeah.
Are you complaining all the time? Or if it's just unbearable, maybe the universe is trying to tell you something.
Exactly. And we're not suggesting like just quit your job. What we're saying is you have to accept how you want to feel. You want to accept what you'd rather be doing. And once you do that, then you can start to at least change your energy, change your attitude as if it's already happened. That's where you start. And then over time, it starts to remold and
reconfigures. Yeah.
It reconfigures. That's a good word. So, yeah, it's interesting. I'm thinking of something else right now. Like we talk about family. Like just this week, I reconnected with a family member after 2 years. That was big. And I was so pleased that the conversation went super well. It went more smoothly than I thought. I got off the phone and I was happy. And immediately after, I started feeling pressure. Like, does this mean I have to call them every day like I used to? Does it mean that I have to call them every week, whatever it might be? And because I've had ample time to be on my own, I've really come into my own more. So I knew that that voice wasn't me. I knew that was the voice that never accepted myself, my truth, what I want. And so I was like, wow, this is huge for me because I'm noticing how much I've matured, which is that even though I'm glad that we've reconnected, I'm accepting that I do prefer being present with my life,
Mm-hmm.
that I don't want to get on the phone. I'd rather just be present with what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't mean I'm never going to check in, but I don't want any expectations placed on me.
Mm-hmm.
None.
Right. Yeah. And when you said that you reconnected, it was like you were able to clear the air, and it is like a fresh start, but it doesn't mean let's go back into the same routine.
That's right. If I were to revert to my old ways and people please and do things because they want that from me, then of course I'm going to open up a can of worms and we're going to revert to the old dysfunctions.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's going to happen because I'm still not accepting myself.
You nailed it. I was just, I
Yeah.
was waiting for you to finish,
Yeah.
and I was going to say, and then you're no longer accepting what you really want.
Yeah. And I even told you that day, I was astonished. I didn't think that that's what would come of the conversation. But what came of the conversation was, number one, I'm happy to have reconnected with this person. Number two, and I'm also wanting to continue what I've been doing because it feels more natural.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel pressure. I don't do well with pressure. And a lot of people who tune into us are probably like us. They're sensitive. They don't want all these expectations placed on them. They just want to be themselves.
Mm-hmm.
They want to be present with their life. I think it's amazing when we start to ripen as individuals, when we start to really mature ourselves and go, I like me. I'm good here. It's peaceful. And why is it peaceful? Because I'm no longer associated to people who want me to do things that I don't want to do.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, I'm responsible for myself. I have to be the one that puts my foot down and says, I will no longer be able to do that for you. I'm really enjoying living my life, and hopefully you can support me in my endeavors.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's hard for people, though. They're always getting pulled in a different direction that isn't them because they've been boxed in, because they're expected to show up as that version of themselves that suits the other person.
Mm-hmm.
But is it suiting them? No. How can you tell? You build resentment.
Mm-hmm.
You go, oh, eye roll, they're calling me again. These are all the little clues and hints that you have to look for, is how you feel inside.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to slam that in people.
Mm-hmm.
I want to drill that into their minds.
Yeah. So the next time the phone rings and you look down and you see who it is, focus on the feeling.
Yeah.
How do you feel when you see that name or their photo on the phone
Yeah.
calling again?
Yeah. And if you have a friend or a family member putting pressure on you to be something that you're not, you can sit them down or get on a FaceTime, look them square in the face and say, hey, it took me a really long time to get clear on what I prefer. And I've accepted myself, and I really like keeping to myself. I want to be able to love each other, to support each other, but as who we really are.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can say to the person, can you accept me just as I am? Can you accept that I don't like to travel? Can you accept that I just like to do my own thing,
Mm-hmm.
that I'm reserved that way,
Mm-hmm.
that I'm focused on what I'm doing?
Yeah.
And if they look at you and they're like, no, I don't accept that, it's like, bye.
I'm thinking of the meme of a caterpillar and a butterfly, and the caterpillar says to the butterfly, "You've changed," and the butterfly says, "We're supposed to."
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, duh.
Yeah.
Of course we are.
So hopefully you're in a relationship, whether it's the romantic relationship, family, or a friendship,
Mm-hmm.
where the person is saying like, "Yeah, I'm supporting you, and I want this for you. That's what you want for yourself." And then maybe it is like we were talking about the last episode of being contagious. Maybe they then see, oh,
Yeah.
I'm being empowered myself
Yeah.
to step into accepting myself fully.
That's right. I also want people to know that the more that you accept yourself, the more you're closing the gap of all of your suffering.
Yeah.
So it's like you're closing the gap between your inauthentic self and your authentic self, and your highest potential lies in the latter, in the authentic self.
Mm-hmm.
And until you fully arrive at your truest, most authentic self, you will continue to be perturbed. Your peace will continue to be disturbed. That will continue to happen because those mosquitoes, God, I have one all over me today. It's so annoying, but those mosquitoes will keep flying in through that window.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's like, so think of the window as being a metaphor for, if it's shut, you're owning your space. You're owning who you are. If it's slightly cracked open, all these bugs can fly in. So as long as you don't accept yourself, bugs will continue to fly in and disturb your peace.
Right. And like you were saying with the mosquito, is like that thing happens that you don't want to happen. And there's the residual, you know, like the itching, or with the mosquito, is like, I did it again. You know, I went against what I really wanted to do.
That's right. Even though deep down I know what I want, I just can't bring myself to do it because I'm living in fear. I'm afraid to be judged by other people. But I don't want to be afraid anymore. I want to step into my highest potential. So what do I need to do that? Well, just act on who you really are. Stop pretending.
Yeah, I think we also have a fear that if we do that, that the people in our lives will no longer accept us. And what I would feel in that situation is, well, if you don't accept me for who I know I am, who I am, what I am, then that's your journey. That's about you. That's not about me.
It's about you not accepting yourself.
Right, right.
It's so true. Because if someone's trying to control you or trying to get you to be a version of yourself that you're not, they haven't accepted themselves. Going back to the relationship example, you're not accepting that the person's not interested. You're trying to control them, as opposed to just humbly accepting that they're not into it. So until we reach a certain level where we can maturely accept who we are and other people, then we're always going to suffer. I just want people to know that it is so liberating when you are done pretending to be something that you're not, and you just accept who you are. It makes all of the troubles melt away. The greatest gift in the entire world that you can offer yourself is to fully accept you and fully accept what you want to experience in life. And until you give yourself that gift, nothing's going to happen for you. You know, in order to properly manifest, we have to be really good receivers. Because if we're not receiving what we envision for our lives, if our heart isn't open and receptive to that, we'll never have it. Okay? So it's like, think of it like this. If I want to be more financially abundant, I have to receive what it's like to be financially abundant. I can't just hope that I will be and hold on to everything I have. I have to almost embody or imagine that I am a rich person so that I can receive the energy of what it's like to be financially abundant. So when you don't accept yourself, who you know you are deep down, then you're always resisting, which means that you're not receiving. And that's what I want to get through to people. Some people might hold on to someone who's emotionally unavailable and say, but I know he's the one. He just hasn't accepted it yet. It's like, don't think for him. Because you're speaking from trauma right now. It's very difficult to differentiate between accepting from a place of honesty versus not accepting from a place of trauma. Most people think that they're accepting themselves by, for instance, looking a certain way and working really hard on their body because they get a lot of looks, they get admiration. Yeah? But they're not really accepting themselves on an honest level. That's more their trauma. And because they have trauma, they're always reaching for validation. They're always seeking love. So that's why acceptance can get a little complex.
Seeking the acceptance from others when really it's about accepting ourselves.
That's right. So the best way people can do this is tune into your heart, feel into what feels more like you. Okay? So you have a family member that calls you every 4 days. you don't really want to be talking to them as much, but you keep doing it. Why do you keep doing it? Okay, you don't accept yourself, you don't accept what you want. And then either stop picking up the phone or just pick it up and tell them where you're at. And what that's going to do is it's going to start to protect you. Because if I don't accept myself and the way that I live, I'm always going to get attacked in my mind. Always. Why?
Because the universe has to show you that you're not accepting yourself.
That's right. So I want people to know, if you want to start living a better life, if you want to start manifesting the life that you envision for yourself, take inventory of what you're still doing in your daily life that you're really not enjoying. And then ask yourself, why am I still doing it? Okay? And what you're going to find is that there's a fear that comes up. Oh, well, I have to because I need the money. Stop focusing on that. For 1 minute, focus on what you wish you could have. I find that people oftentimes defend the thing that they really don't enjoy doing. Isn't that true?
It is.
But I have to make money. I have to go to work. But I have to... Blah, 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 blah. Can you just put that down for a second, boo? Just please, just put that down for 1 second. How much of your energy have you given to the alternate possibility?
The more we include the word but, like the using the word but is letting you know that you're resisting.
That's right. So give yourself a chance to explore what it would be like if you did the thing that you want to do. That's the only way your life can begin to change. And I'm not saying this is going to happen overnight by any means, but you have to do it incrementally. Oh, I'm not accepting that this friend is not really being real with me, but I keep them in my life. And by keeping them in my life, I keep being more resentful. Okay, what is that resentment telling you? That you're not accepting that this is not the right friend for you. It's that simple. So either have the conversation with them and talk about your feelings and see how they respond. If they respond positively, you keep working on the friendship. If not, they're not your friend. Or if you're dating this guy who's emotionally unavailable, challenge him. Hey, I want a relationship. What's going on here?
Yeah.
See how he responds to you. If he doesn't respond positively, you've got your answer.
And isn't it better to know now rather than dragging it out for weeks or months?
Of course. And that's why so many people are confused as to why they're not manifesting. Manifesting is not as difficult as you think it is. It's stop delaying what you ultimately want by holding on to what you think you want but don't really want. You think you want this guy who's emotionally unavailable, but your authentic self wants nothing to do with him. You think you want to work at this job, but your authentic self knows that you don't want to work at that job. You think you want to keep this friend around, but deep down you know they're not authentic. So you're the one delaying what you're wanting to manifest.
Yeah, you're holding on to what you don't want, plain and simple.
You're holding on, you said you're holding on to what you don't want. Yeah. And the reason why you're holding on is because you have trauma, because you have fears. I'll never be enough. If I get this person to fall in love with me, if I get this man who's emotionally unavailable to fall in love with me, then I've won. No, you haven't. Because just the mere act of wanting that is coming from resistance. The mere act of that is coming from you not accepting yourself. That's where it's coming from. Most of your troubles will melt away when you start accepting who you are. It's the most difficult thing you'll do, but the most rewarding thing you'll do. It's the greatest gift you can offer yourself. I think, in a nutshell, stop resisting who you are. Start accepting who you are. And going back to the gap, there's your inauthentic self that's doing everything for everyone all the time. And that's not really you. And then there's this true you, the you that you are when no one's looking. That's like, I really don't want to go out right now, or I don't feel like this friendship is genuine. That's the true you. Accept it. And as you accept you, you're going to close that gap, and all the bugs and the mosquitoes that were flying in your face, making you feel horrible all the time, won't be able to have access to you anymore. They won't be able to penetrate you like they did.
Yeah. I mean, that is why we have screens on windows.
Because we're accepting that it's our home.
Right, right.
It's my home.
Yeah. When I'm working with people, I often ask them, if it could look the way you wanted it to, what would it look like?
Yeah,
And then go toward that.
exactly. Forget what people think of you. No matter how much you try, you'll never be enough for some people. And if you feel a certain type of way around a family member or a friend or the person that you're dating and something feels off, take the reins of your own life. Tell yourself, I am enough. What I want is enough. And I'm going to start going in that direction, like you said. Mm-hmm. And if they retaliate, if they judge you for it, then you know that they never really had your back.
They never really accepted you to begin with.
That's right. They never really accepted you to begin with.
Why do you think it's so difficult for people to accept who they really are?
I think it's obviously that we're all afraid to be judged by people. We don't like conflict. But you have to have conflicts to arrive at yourself. You have to. Because you've had people in your life for a long time whom you're going to have to explain who you're becoming. You can't just shy away from that. So conflict is inevitable. But I would rather you live with an external conflict, if it means that you're becoming more of you, than an internal conflict because you're not accepting who you really are. But yeah, I think it always comes down to being afraid to be judged by people.
I really do love that. You'd rather have it be an external conflict than internal.
That just hit me.
Wow.
Yeah, I would rather have an external conflict with someone who isn't telling me if they're going to commit to me than to have an internal conflict of hoping that they will. Mm-hmm. I'd rather confront them and be like, hey, what's your deal? What's going on here? Mm-hmm. If I know that I'm moving in the direction of eventually being in a commitment, I'd rather have that conflict with that person so that I can get the confirmation that they weren't that into me than to constantly think about them and obsess over them. That's torture. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think
that is torture.
It's torture.
And then it's the suffering that keeps going and keeps going. And we do, we do have to suffer enough to where we realize I can't do this to myself anymore.
That's right. That's right. The world is going to start to unblock and open up for you once you decide, I'm ready to accept who I am. I'm ready to accept what I love. I'm ready to accept that I don't like certain things, and I'm not going to make excuses for that anymore. I'm going to own it.